I swallowed hard, trying to steady my thoughts. Maybe this was what the trip was really about, learning how to breathe again. Ethan shifted beside me, his eyes meeting mine. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The crackling fire filled the silence, but something else pulsed between us, quiet, fragile, electric. I wanted to reach out, to close the gap, to finally name what I had buried for so long. But before the moment could take shape, the fire popped sharply, breaking whatever spell had settled over us. Ethan looked away with a small, faint smile, as if nothing unusual had happened. Later, when we crawled into our sleeping bags, I stayed awake longer than I should have, listening to the steady rhythm of his breathing. The tent walls pressed in, the night alive with insects and the soft rustling of leaves. In the darkness, I wondered what it might feel like to stop pretending just once, but I didn't, not yet. That was the first night, the quiet beginning of everything that would come after, though I didn't know it then. The morning after felt different. The forest moved at its own pace, birds calling above us, branches swaying, the stream humming nearby. Sunlight filtered through the tent, soft and golden, as Ethan stirred awake beside me. For a moment, I simply watched him breathe, calm and peaceful in a way that made my chest tighten. Friends weren't supposed to notice things like this, but I couldn't help it. When he finally opened his eyes, I quickly looked away, pretending to adjust the zipper on my sleeping bag. "Morning," he murmured, voice still rough with sleep. "Morning," I echoed, ready for day two. "Always," he said, stretching until his shirt lifted slightly. I forced my eyes away, focusing instead on the thin fabric of the tent wall. We packed quickly, fueled by instant coffee and granola bars, then headed onto the trail. The climb was steeper that day. Sweat gathered on my forehead as we moved upward, but Ethan stayed steady, navigating the terrain with the quiet confidence that always amazed me. I tried to focus on the pines, the distant peaks, the sun slipping through the canopy, but my gaze kept drifting to him. Halfway up the ridge, he slowed. "You good?" "Yeah," I said, breath catching, just appreciating the view. He smirked, didn't know I counted as scenery. Heat rushed to my face, I stumbled over my own words. "I meant the mountains, the valley, you know." He didn't tease me further, and I silently thanked the universe. By the time we reached the overlook, the view stretched wide below us, the valley like a quilt of green and gold. Rivers glinted like threads of silver in the afternoon sun. "Worth it?" he asked. "Yeah," I whispered. But I wasn't talking about the view. We lingered there, a silence settling between us, full, heavy, and familiar. Being alone with him like this pulled old feelings to the surface, feelings I had spent years pushing back. Eventually, we continued toward a clearing where we'd camp for the night. Evening settled and the firelight danced across Ethan's face. He sat cross-legged, poking at the flames, the glow turning his features warm and soft. Across from him, I couldn't stop staring. The fire made everything feel unreal, too close, too bright, too honest. We ate quietly, shared stories, laughed until my ribs ached. But then the conversation shifted. "You ever think about where we're headed?" I asked. He looked up surprised. "What do you mean?" "Life, careers, relationships, whether we're actually happy or just going through the motions." For a long moment, he stared into the fire. "Yeah," he said softly, "more than I admit. Sometimes it feels like I'm waiting for something or someone, but I couldn't tell you what." His words landed with a weight I wasn't prepared for. Was he talking about me, or was I just hearing what I wanted to hear? Then his hand brushed mine, barely a graze, but enough to send a shock through me. We both froze. His hand lingered for a second too long before he pulled away, pretending nothing had happened, and neither of us mentioned it. The fire burned low, shadows dancing across the trees, across Ethan's face, across the small space between us. My heart raced, heavy with everything I couldn't say. Eventually, we slipped into the tent. The night hummed outside. Inside, the space felt impossibly small. Our sleeping bags lay side by side, inches apart. I stared at the ceiling, sleep refusing to come, every thought circling the same impossible question: what if he felt it too? But until one of us spoke the truth, it remained just that, a possibility, and possibilities could weigh more than certainty. The third morning began with quiet skis. We crawled out of the tent slowly, our muscles stiff but our spirits lighter. Breakfast was simple, oatmeal and coffee, but with Ethan sitting across from me, it felt warm, familiar, easy. "You think we'll make the ridge by sunset?" I asked. If we push, he said, but if not, we stop early, we're not in a rush. That was Ethan, steady, calm, grounding, but lately there was something else beneath that calm. His gaze lingered a little longer, he moved a little closer, the brush of his hand felt less accidental. We packed and set out, clouds gathering overhead. At first, we didn't notice. We were too busy talking, movie debates, college memories, laughter echoing through the trees. But by afternoon, the forest grew still. A hush spread through the branches, the wind cooled. "Storm's coming," Ethan said. Thunder cracked overhead and we broke into a faster pace. The trail narrowed, hemmed in by rocks and trees. Rain began to fall, slow at first, then hard and cold. "Here," Ethan shouted, pointing to a clearing. We rushed to pitch the tent, working fast as the sky opened up. Rain hammered the ground, cold and relentless. By the time we dove inside, we were soaked through. The storm raged around us, shaking the tent. Thunder rolled through the valley. "Could be worse," Ethan said, breathless but smiling. "Really?" I shivered, "because this feels like rock bottom." He laughed softly. "Rock bottom is no tent." Another boom of thunder rattled the ground. "You cold?" he asked. "A little." Without hesitation, he unzipped his sleeping bag and opened it. "Come here, body heat works fastest." My pulse jumped. "You sure?" "Yeah," he said simply, shifting to make space. I slid in beside him, our shoulders touched first, then our arms, then the length of our bodies. His warmth hit me instantly, chasing the chill from my skin but stirring a different kind of storm inside my chest. Silence settled around us, thick, charged, intimate. After a while I whispered, "Do you ever feel different out here?" He turned slightly, his face inches from mine. "Different how?" "Like things are clearer, like the things we don't say back home feel closer." His eyes searched mine, steady and serious. For a moment I thought he might finally name the thing between us. But lightning flashed. Shaking the tent, he looked away. "Yeah," he said quietly, "I know what you mean." The wind rattled the tent hard. Instinctively I shifted closer. His arm moved around me, not casually but protectively, grounding, real. I froze, waiting for him to pull away. He didn't. I leaned into him just slightly, feeling the warmth of his chest. "Ethan," I whispered, unsure what I even wanted to say. "Yeah," he murmured. The words wouldn't come. "Nothing," I said softly. He didn't push, but he didn't move his arm either. The storm raged on, but inside the tent everything felt impossibly small, his breath, my pulse, the quiet shift between us. And I knew that when the storm passed, something between us had already changed. Sometime before dawn, the storm eased. Rain softened, then stopped, leaving only the slow drip of water sliding from the branches above. I woke to warmth pressed against my side. Ethan's arm was draped over my waist, his chest against my back, his breath slow and steady. I froze. His fingertips rested lightly at my stomach, unintentional maybe, but undeniably close. I stared up at the tent ceiling, torn between staying still or turning to face him. Minutes passed, then Ethan shifted, his arm tightening just slightly, like his body knew something his mind hadn't admitted yet. I swallowed hard. Slowly, carefully, I rolled onto my back. Our faces were inches apart. He blinked awake, eyes focusing on me, and instead of pulling away, he just looked. A quiet, grounding kind of look, the kind that sees you fully. "Ethan," I whispered. His hand shifted at my side, a small, steadying squeeze. "I know," he said softly. Two simple words, but they cracked something open inside me. We leaned in at the same time, soft, tentative, unsure, but honest. His lips were warm, gentle, full of a longing that matched my own. My hand brushed his jaw, his breath catching just slightly. When we finally pulled apart, he didn't retreat or joke or shut down. He smiled, a small, hopeful smile that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. "What now?" I asked. He held my gaze. "Now we stop pretending." Relief washed through me like fresh air. "All this time," I whispered. "All this time," he confirmed, his thumb brushing my wrist. The second kiss was deeper, steadier, truth meeting truth. We lay there afterward, foreheads touching, smiling in the pale morning light. "Guess that storm wasn't all bad," I murmured. He laughed softly, "Best storm I've ever been through." We stayed close long after the sun rose. When we finally stepped out of the tent, the forest looked brighter, washed clean by the night, water dripped from the trees, the air smelled new. Ethan walked beside me, our shoulders brushing. This time I didn't pull away. On a narrow stretch of trail, he reached for my hand, his fingers threaded through mine, warm and certain. We didn't comment on it, we didn't need to. The rest of the day passed in quiet bliss. We hiked, ate, and laughed, but everything felt different now, lighter, clearer, true. That night, beneath a sky full of stars, Ethan leaned against me, his head resting gently on my shoulder. I let myself breathe, finally, deeply. The world beyond the woods still waited, life, decisions, uncertainty. But for now, it didn't matter. All that mattered was the truth we had finally spoken. And as flames danced in the firelight and my hand found his, I realized something I hadn't admitted before. That morning hadn't just changed us. It had changed me. He was staring at his textbook, but his eyes weren't moving. "You'd be surprised what you're capable of when the alternative is suffocating," I said quietly. He looked up. For a moment, something passed between us, understanding, maybe even connection. Then his phone buzzed, snapping the moment in half, Jessica calling for their nightly check-in. He stepped into the hallway and I tried not to hear the way his voice shifted when he talked to her, lighter, practiced, like he was performing a version of himself he thought he was supposed to be. Living in close quarters with someone teaches you things you were never trying to learn. Tiny, intimate things. I noticed that Carter hummed when he was content, that he ran a hand through his hair when he was stressed, and that when he laughed it was his whole body participating. He was tactile, always touching people, clapping teammates on the back, pulling friends into one-armed hugs, bumping shoulders playfully. And he touched me a lot. A hand brushing my shoulder when he passed behind me, sitting so close during movie nights that our arms pressed together, leaning over my desk to look at my sketches, his breath warm against my neck. I kept insisting it meant nothing. He was straight, he had a girlfriend, it was just Carter being Carter. But my body didn't care about logic. Every casual touch sparked like a live wire. One evening in mid-October, he sat next to me on the bed to watch something, and I shifted away, just a few inches, but enough. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah, just tired," I lied. He frowned, clearly unconvinced, but didn't push. The truth was getting harder to swallow. I was catching feelings. Real ones, complicated ones, unwanted ones. I'd catch myself watching him study, noticing how he bit his lower lip when he was thinking. At night, I'd lie awake listening to him breathe across the room, my chest tightening with a longing I didn't know what to do with. So I created distance. Late nights at the studio, more time at the LGBTQ+ center, hanging out with friends instead of going back to the dorm. Carter noticed. "Are you avoiding me?" he asked one night when I slipped in past midnight and found him still awake. "No," I said instantly. "Adrian," he sat up, concern etched across his face in the glow of the lamp. "Did I do something if I made you uncomfortable?" "You didn't," I said quickly. "It's just midterms, I'm busy." He didn't look convinced, but he let it drop. That night I listened to his breathing soften into sleep, and I made a decision. I needed to get over this. Carter was my friend, my roommate, and he was straight, end of story. I needed to stop hoping for something that could never happen. The hockey team threw a Halloween party at an off-campus house. Carter insisted I come. "You never come to parties," he said, "and you've been hiding, it'll be fun." I went as a lazy vampire. He went as a lumberjack, flannel jeans, a fake axe he promptly lost. He looked annoyingly good. The party was everything I expected: loud music, drunk undergrads, chaos in costume form. I stuck close to him at first, then drifted to some design classmates and actually started enjoying myself. I was making a drink in the kitchen when someone stepped up behind me. "Hey." I turned. Carter stood there, cheeks flushed from heat and alcohol, flannel unbuttoned over a white t-shirt. "Having fun?" he asked. "Yeah, actually." "You?" "It's all right." He leaned beside me on the counter, close enough for me to smell his cologne, clean, woodsy. "Missed hanging out with you, though." "I've been right here," I teased. "No, you haven't." His voice softened, more serious. "You've been pulling away. I miss my friend." The honesty in his voice hit me hard. I'd been so busy protecting myself, I hadn't considered how my distance might feel to him. "I'm sorry," I murmured. "I didn't mean to." Jessica and I broke up. My head snapped up, wait, what, when? 2 weeks ago, he took a sip of beer. We fought about me not visiting enough, and I realized I didn't want to visit. I cared about her, but he shook his head. It didn't feel right. I'm sorry, I said, though something warm and sharp twisted in my chest. He shrugged. It's okay, it was mutual. She said I seemed distracted lately, like my mind was somewhere else. He paused. She wasn't wrong. My heart thudded too fast. He looked at me, really looked, and something in his expression made my breath falter. Adrian eyes. Carter, a teammate, burst in, already drunk. Shots, let's go. The moment shattered. Carter let himself be dragged away, glancing back at me with an expression I couldn't decipher. After the party, everything between us shifted. He watched me more. I'd look up from my sketchbook and find him staring, something thoughtful and unreadable in his eyes. He'd start sentences and abandon them halfway. He'd sit closer than necessary, touch my shoulder or arm lightly, as if testing something, waiting for a reaction. It was enough to drive me insane. You're imagining it? Marcus insisted at the campus coffee shop, stirring his espresso. Marcus, with his purple hair and endless confidence, had taken me under his wing from the day we met. He's probably just going through post-breakup weirdness. Maybe, I said, but I didn't believe it. Not when Carter kept looking at me like that. The air in our room had begun to feel charged lately, like the heavy stillness before a thunderstorm. We'd study in silence, and I could feel his attention on me without even looking up. When we brushed past each other in the cramped space, the contact lingered just a little too long. Our late-night conversations danced dangerously close to something neither of us dared to name. One night in early November, I was working on a design project at my desk when I sensed him behind me. He leaned over my shoulder, pretending to study my screen, but he was so close I could feel the heat of his body against my back. That's beautiful, he murmured, his voice low. I swallowed. The piece on my screen was part of a poster series about identity and self-discovery, abstract forms, vibrant colors, a figure emerging from shadow into light. Thanks, I said, though my hands trembled slightly on the mouse. You have this way of seeing people, he continued softly, like you understand what they feel even when they can't say it. I turned my head just a little and suddenly his face was inches from mine. His eyes were dark, focused, intense. Carter, I whispered. He blinked like he suddenly realized how close we were. He straightened so fast it startled me, running a hand through his hair in that stressed gesture I knew by heart. I don't know what I'm doing, he said quietly. I'm sorry, He cut himself off, grabbed his coat and walked out. I stayed frozen, heart pounding, trying to make sense of anything. It all came to a breaking point a few nights later. I'd been at the studio working on finals and came back around 11. Carter was packing our room, hair a mess, shoulders tight with tension. We need to talk, he said the moment I entered. My stomach dropped. Okay. He motioned for me to sit on my bed while he sat on his, our knees almost touching in the narrow space between them. I've been lying, he blurted, not to you, well, not exactly, but to myself, to everyone. He let out a shaky laugh, but there was no humor in it. I don't even know how to say this. Carter, I think I'm attracted to you. The words hit like an earthquake, impossible and undeniable all at once. What? I whispered. I know, he pushed on, words spilling out in a rush. I've been with girls my whole life. I've never even thought about guys before, not like this. But then we became roommates, and you were just you, funny, talented, kind. You don't care about all the stupid masculine posturing everyone else does. You're real, and somewhere along the line I started noticing you differently. My pulse thudded in my ears. At first I told myself it was admiration, he said, friendship, but then I'd catch myself watching you, wanting to be near you, getting jealous when you talked to other guys, and at night, he stopped, eyes shutting briefly. I broke up with Jessica because it felt wrong being with her when I couldn't stop thinking about you. I felt like the floor had vanished. Say something, he whispered, please. I don't know what to say, I admitted. You said you were straight. You have to understand I've been dealing with my feelings for months, telling myself it was impossible, that you never, my voice broke. His eyes widened. Months? You felt like this for months. Yes, I said quietly. Living with you, seeing you with Jessica, pretending it didn't hurt every time you touched me. The words spilled out, raw, honest, trembling. I tried so hard to respect your boundaries, to just be your friend, to not be the stereotype of the creepy gay roommate who catches feelings. You're not creepy, he said firmly. I'm the one who kept crossing lines. Then he reached for my hand. He hesitated for just a second, but then his fingers slid into mine, warm, calloused, steady. I don't have this figured out, he said. I don't know if I'm bi or pan or if it's just you, but I've never felt like this about anyone, and it scares me. I can't keep pretending it isn't happening. I looked down at our joined hands, then back up at him. His expression was open and terrified and hopeful all at once. What are you asking for? I whispered. I don't know, he said. Time, maybe patience, a chance to figure this out without losing you. Everything in me wanted to close the distance, but I'd been hurt before by confused guys searching for clarity in all the wrong ways. I need to know you're serious, I said. I can't be an experiment. You're not, he said immediately, gripping my hand tighter. Adrian, you're the most real thing in my life. I'm terrified of messing this up, but I'm more terrified of not trying. We sat there, hands clasped, charged with fear and possibility. Okay, I finally said. We take it slow, we figure it out together, and if at any point you realize this isn't what you want. It is what I want, he cut in. Then you have to be honest with me. I promise, he said. His smile was small, trembling, hopeful. So what now, he asked. Now, I said, smiling back, we sleep, and I go to my 8 a.m. He laughed, the tension finally breaking. We got ready for bed in a silence that felt warm instead of awkward. Every movement, every glance felt charged with new meaning. When the lights went off, I lay there listening to his breathing, my hands still tingling from where he'd held them. Adrian, he whispered in the dark. Yes. Thank you for not running. Thank you for telling me, I whispered back. Then, good night. Good night, Carters. I fell asleep smiling, hope blooming in my chest like spring after a long, cold winter. In the weeks that followed, we moved carefully, quietly, just the two of us figuring out whatever this was. We didn't tell anyone. Carter needed space to understand his feelings, and I didn't want to risk breaking something still so new. To everyone else, we were just close roommates. Behind closed doors, we were something more. It began with small things. Carter coming back from hockey practice and resting a hand on my shoulder before he even showered, me leaning into his touch, studying on his bed instead of our desks, our shoulders pressed together. The first time he let his head fall onto my shoulder, I thought my heart might burst. He'd asked if everything between us was okay. I'd told him it was more than okay. After that, the intimacy between us grew slowly and naturally. His arm over my shoulders during movie nights, my head resting in his lap while he absent-mindedly played with my hair, falling asleep mid-conversation and waking to find we had drifted closer in our sleep, his hand reaching across the narrow space between the beds to rest near mine. None of it felt forced. It was gentle, steady, like a door opening a little wider each day. We talked constantly about his confusion, his questions, his shifting sense of identity. One evening we lay on his bed facing each other, close enough that our breaths mingled in the lamplight. I've been doing research, he said, about sexual fluidity, late bloomers, all of that, and I think I might be bisexual or maybe pansexual. He looked uncertain, vulnerable. The gender doesn't seem to be the important part, he admitted. You're the important part, does that make sense? It makes perfect sense, I said softly. Labels are tools, not cages. Use one if it helps or don't use any at all. Relief softened his expression. My whole life I just assumed I was straight, he said. I was attracted to girls, so I thought that was the whole story. Where I'm from, everyone just assumes straight is the default unless you prove otherwise. Heteronormativity, I said. Exactly, and now I'm looking back and realizing maybe there were signs. Guys I thought I wanted to be like, but maybe I actually wanted to be with. Friendships that felt too intense, but I didn't have the language for it. That's really common, I told him. Compulsory heterosexuality can confuse everyone, especially people who don't fit cleanly into straight or gay. Have you told anyone about us? I asked gently, or about what you're feeling? He shook his head. Not yet. I will, but I want to be able to explain it. My parents are going to have questions, the team might react weirdly, I just want to have my thoughts together first. No pressure, I said, even as a tiny fear whispered inside me. This is your journey, I'm just here with you. You're not just anything, he said, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear. You're everything. My breath caught. The way he looked at me, like I was something worth understanding himself for, made my chest ache. Can I kiss you? He whispered. We'd been moving toward this for weeks, but the question still sent a shock through me. Yes, I breathed. He leaned in slowly, giving me time to pull away. His hand cupped my cheek, his thumb brushing my skin, and then his lips met mine. The kiss was soft and tentative, careful and warm, not the dramatic moment I'd imagined, something better, something real. When he pulled back, his eyes were wide with wonder. Wow, he whispered. Yeah, I said, heart racing. Can we do that again? I laughed and he grinned, and then we were kissing once more, deeper this time, his fingers threading through my hair, my hands gripping the fabric of his shirt. We kissed until we were breathless, until the lamplight dimmed, until nothing outside that room mattered. Eventually he rested his forehead against mine. I'm falling for you, he murmured. I already did, I whispered back, months ago. Then I guess I've got some catching up to do. We fell asleep that night, tangled together in his small twin bed, cramped, imperfect, and absolutely perfect. Reality returned with the approach of Thanksgiving break. Come home with me, Carter said one evening while I sketched him, his profile, his smile, the warm way lamplight caught in his hair. I looked up, startled. What? For Thanksgiving, come meet my family. Carter, we've been whatever we are for like 3 weeks, isn't it too soon? You're my roommate, he said. Roommates visit each other's families all the time. Then he took my hand. And I want you there, I want them to know you, I'm going to tell them about us, about me. My heart clenched. Are you sure you're ready? No, he admitted, but I'm tired of hiding. You helped me realize hiding is just a quieter kind of suffocating. He smiled softly. Besides, my mom will love you. She's always saying I need more sensitive, artistic friends. So I went home with Carter Hayes for Thanksgiving, my heart in my throat, hope wrestling with fear. His hometown was exactly what I'd imagined. Tree-lined streets, cozy shops decorated for autumn, the kind of place where people waved at each other just because. The Hayes house was a 2-story craftsman with a wraparound porch and a garden that clearly had decades of care behind it. It's beautiful, I said as we pulled into the driveway. Wait until you see the backyard, Carter said. It's my dad's pride and joy. His mother, Linda, opened the door before we could knock. She had warm eyes and Carter's smile. She hugged me before I even introduced myself. Adrian, Carter's told us so much about you. Come in, you must be freezing. His father, Robert, was quieter but kind, shaking my hand firmly. His younger sister, Emma, a high school senior with an artist's flair, looked me up and down approvingly. Finally, someone here with style, she declared. Carter dresses like a suburban dad. I dress practical, Carter protested. You dress boring, Emma shot back. I liked her immediately. Dinner that night was warm and easy. Linda asked about my major and my family. Robert and Carter talked about plans for the landscaping business. Emma showed me her art on her phone. It felt normal, comfortable, but I could feel the tension in Carter's shoulders, the weight of something he knew he had to say. Later, he asked me to stay in his childhood bedroom. Emma will think it's weird if you take the guest room, he said, and I want you nearby. We lay side by side in the dark, not touching in case his parents walked in, but close enough that our shoulders brushed. Tomorrow, he whispered, I'm telling them tomorrow. I found his hand under the covers and squeezed. I'm here no matter what. I know, he said, that's the only reason I can do this. It happened the next afternoon after Emma left to see friends. We were in the living room with his parents. Linda was showing me old photo albums, one of which contained a picture of young Carter drowned in a hockey uniform 5 sizes too big. Suddenly Carter stood. Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something. The change in his voice made both parents look up. Linda closed the album. Robert set down his coffee. What is it? Linda asked gently. Nothing's wrong, Carter said quickly. His hands trembled. I need to be honest with you. I started to rise, thinking he might want privacy, but he looked right at me. Stay, he said, please. I sat back down. Carter took a breath that shook slightly. I'm bisexual, he said. I'm attracted to people regardless of gender, and I'm in a relationship with Adrian. Silence pressed in heavy, endless. Linda's expression shifted through a dozen emotions: surprise, confusion, thoughtfulness. Robert's face stayed unreadable. And we waited. How long have you known? Linda asked quietly. That I'm bisexual, Carter said. Only a couple of months. That I had feelings for Adrian, he glanced at me, longer than I admitted to myself. And Jessica, Robert asked. We broke up. It wasn't fair to her when my heart was somewhere else. Linda turned her attention to me then, really looked at me, and I tried not to shift under her gentle scrutiny. Adrian, she said, did you know about this before you two started dating? I didn't push him toward anything, I said carefully. Carter figured out his feelings on his own. I was just there when he was ready to talk about it. He's been patient with me, Carter added, voice soft. More patient than I deserved. This has all been my choice, my realization. Robert suddenly stood and walked to the window, his back turned. The silence stretched. Dad, Carter said, his voice small in a way I'd never heard from him. Robert turned, and to my shock, his eyes were wet. I'm not disappointed, he said, voice rough. I'm just sad. Why? Carter whispered, hurt threading through the single word. Because you've been going through something this big, something that changes how you see yourself, and you didn't feel like you could tell us until now. He crossed the room and pulled Carter into a fierce hug. I'm your father, you should have been able to come to me. Carter's shoulders shook. I realized he was crying. I didn't know how, he whispered. I didn't understand it myself. I know, Robert murmured, I know. He pulled back and held Carter by the shoulders. Listen to me, we love you exactly as you are, always have, always will, that doesn't change. Linda joined the hug, tears on her cheeks. My beautiful boy, she murmured, thank you for trusting us with this. When they finally broke apart, Linda turned to me. Adrian, I'm sorry if we made you uncomfortable. This is a lot to take in. But, she wiped her eyes and gave a watery smile. If you make our son happy, then you're welcome in this family. Something tight in my chest loosened. Thank you, I managed. The rest of the afternoon was spent truly talking. Carter explained his journey, I shared parts of my own. Linda asked thoughtful questions. Robert didn't talk much, but acceptance showed in small things, the way he clapped Carter's shoulder, the way he asked me about my family and my plans. I care about him, I said honestly. I won't hurt him. See that you don't, Robert said, but there was warmth in it. When Emma came home and heard, she just rolled her eyes. I knew that, she said. What? Carter sputtered. How? The way you two look at each other, plus, Adrian's way too cool to be just your roommate. Later that night, lying in Carter's childhood bed, his arm around me, my head on his chest, he whispered, thank you. For what? For being worth coming out for making me brave. You were always brave, I said, you just needed a reason. He kissed the top of my head, and I fell asleep to the steady sound of his heartbeat. Word spread fast when we got back to campus. Carter came out to his hockey team first. I offered to go with him, but he wanted to handle it alone. I spent 3 anxious hours sketching until he finally returned, flushed but smiling. How'd it go? I asked. Better than I thought, he said, flopping onto his bed. A couple of guys were weird, but the captain shut that down fast. Mostly they just wanted to know if I'd been checking them out in the locker room. And I told them they weren't my type, he smirked, too much toxic masculinity. We told our friends next, my LGBTQ+ center crowd, his study group. Marcus high-fived me and whispered, I knew something was up. Carter's friends from home were surprised but supportive. And slowly it became normal. Carter Hayes and Adrian Chen were together. Some people stared, some whispered, mostly people accepted it. The first time he kissed me in public was in the dining hall. We were laughing at a joke and he just leaned in and kissed me, quick, soft, easy. But to me, it was monumental. You okay? He murmured. So okay, I whispered back. Our friends cheered. Carter blushed but kept his arm around me. That casual ease, the way he didn't hide, meant more than I could say. Winter formal arrived right before finals. I wasn't planning to go, but Carter had other ideas. Come with me, he said, be my date officially. And how could I say no? I borrowed a deep blue suit, styled my hair, and when I stepped out of the bathroom, Carter, standing in a charcoal gray suit, looked at me like I'd walked out of a dream. Wow, he breathed. Back at you, I managed. He handed me a small box with a boutonniere. Aster, he said, for your name. My chest tightened. Then he pointed at his lapel, your turn. I forgot to get you flowers. Check your desk top left. Inside was a matching boutonniere he'd hidden earlier. The heather means admiration and good luck, he said, and new beginnings. I pinned it on, my fingers shaking. I love you, I said before I could stop myself. I know it's early, but I can't hold it in anymore. I love you. His smile warmed the entire room. I love you too, he whispered, cupping my face. I think I have for a while. The kiss he gave me was slow, sure, full of promise. The formal was magical: string lights, winter decor, friends who made us pose for a ridiculous number of pictures. Carter kept pulling me close, touching my waist, brushing kisses to my cheek. When a slow song began, he pulled me onto the dance floor. Everyone's watching, I murmured. Let them, he said, let them see how happy you make me. His conviction made my eyes sting. You're amazing, I whispered. I'm learning, he said with a soft smile. You're a good teacher. Near the end of the night, a song started, soft, warm, romantic, and Carter's face lit up. This is our song, he declared, officially. We have a song now, I asked, smiling. Every good love story does, he said, and that's what this is, you and me, the story I want to tell for the rest of my life. Finals hit hard the next week, turning our room into chaos, but through all the stress we kept finding each other, grounding each other, choosing each other. If I had to write one more analysis of consumer behavior patterns, I was going to scream. Carter groaned the same thing one night. He was sprawled across his bed, surrounded by papers. If I have to refine one more vector in this logo design, I'll join you, I said from my desk, hunched over my tablet. We worked in comfortable silence for a while until Carter spoke again. Hey, take a break, come here. I looked over, he shifted, patting the space beside him. I saved my work and went over, collapsing at his side with a groan. We're going to survive this, right? Absolutely. He pulled me against his chest, fingers sliding through my hair in the way that always relaxed me. And then, he added, we get 3 weeks of winter break with 0 responsibilities. Are you going home for Christmas? Yeah. But then he hesitated. I was thinking maybe you could come for part of it. My mom already asked if you'd be joining us. Really? Really, she likes you, they all do. He kissed my temple. Besides, I don't want to spend 3 weeks away from you. I'm used to having you around. Codependent much, I teased, but warmth flooded my chest. Maybe a little, he admitted. Is that bad? No, I whispered, it's nice, having someone who wants me around. We fell asleep tangled together, textbooks forgotten. His alarm went off at 6 a.m. for an early exam, and I woke to him trying to slip away quietly. Stay, he whispered when he saw my eyes open. You don't have class until 10. Good luck on your exam, I mumbled. He kissed me softly. Love you. Love you too. Those simple exchanges, so easy, so natural, they felt like home. Christmas break. I did spend part of winter break with Carter's family. Christmas at the Hayes house was loud, warm, chaotic in the best way. At one point, his mom Linda pulled me aside and hugged me tightly. Thank you, she said. For what? For helping my son discover who he is, for making him this happy. She pulled back, eyes shining. A mother knows, and I can see how much you two love each other. He makes me happy too, I admitted. Good, that's how it should be. New Year's Eve. Carter and I drove to a lookout point outside town. Wrapped in blankets on the hood of his car, we watched the stars. Next semester, he said, I want to move off campus, get an apartment. Would you want to find a place together? My heart skipped. As roommates, I asked. As partners, he corrected softly, as people building a life together. Yes, I said without hesitation. Absolutely yes. Fireworks went off in the distance, the new year beginning around us. I have something for you. He handed me a small box. Carter, we said no gifts. Open it. Inside was a simple silver bracelet with a charm of 2 interlocking circles. It's not an engagement ring, he said quickly. We're too young for that, but I wanted something that represents us, two people separate but connected. Emotion tightened my throat. It's perfect. He pulled up his sleeve to reveal an identical bracelet. Too cheesy. It's exactly cheesy enough, I whispered, laughing through my tears. Our first apartment. We found a modest one-bedroom near campus, not fancy but ours. Carter's outdoor photography and hockey posters went up next to my art prints and string lights. Our books merged on one shelf. His coffee maker sat beside my tea collection. It's ours, he said one evening. Our first place, I said, first of many. Growth in coming out. That semester, Carter came out to his extended family on National Coming Out Day. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Tears streamed down his face as he read message after message. They still love me, he whispered over and over. Of course they do, I said, holding him. You're impossible not to love. I introduced him to my family during spring break, and they adored him instantly. My sister said, he's perfect for you, don't let him go. I don't plan to, I told her. The documentary. For my multimedia design class, I made a short documentary about LGBTQ+ identity in college. Carter agreed to be interviewed. Watching him speak with vulnerability and clarity moved me to tears. Figuring out who you are is scary, he said on camera, but it's worth it. The people who love you will still love you, and sometimes the thing you think will ruin your life actually saves it. He smiled. Finding myself meant finding the love of my life. I had to stop filming because I couldn't stop crying. The documentary won an award and started conversations across campus. Students approached us, saying our story gave them courage. We're making a difference, Carter said. Just by being visible. You're amazing, I told him. 6 months ago you were terrified to acknowledge your feelings, now you're a voice for the community. I had a good teacher, he whispered. 1 year later. We were orientation leaders now, helping new freshmen move into the dorms. We passed our old room 412 and Carter squeezed my hand. Think they'll find their soulmates too, he joked. Probably not, I said. Lightning doesn't strike twice. I don't know, he grinned. That room has good energy. At home that night he asked quietly. Do you ever regret taking a chance on me? Never, I said, not once. I was such a mess. You were figuring yourself out, that isn't the same. What do you think happens next, I asked. Everything, he said simply. Graduation, jobs, maybe grad school for you, maybe a dog, maybe marriage someday if you want that. I do, I whispered. Then someday we will. You're it for me, he said, my endgame, my forever person. The proposal. The night of my senior thesis exhibition, my art filled the gallery, pieces inspired by identity, growth, and us. After the show, back at home, Carter cleared his throat. There's something I want to ask you. He got on one knee beside the bed, still in his pajamas, somehow making it romantic. I know we said someday, but Adrian, I don't want to wait anymore. These past 3 years have been the best of my life. You've made me braver, kinder, more myself. You showed me what love is supposed to be. Will you marry me? I pulled him up and kissed him through tears. Yes, yes, of course, yes. He slipped the ring onto my finger, simple, elegant, perfect. We laughed, cried, kissed, and made plans for our future. Because that night in our dorm room didn't just change everything, it started everything. He said he was straight, but one night changed everything.